Louisiana has a culture all its own. From the unique cuisine, the architecture, to festivals and traditions, New Orleans is a city like none other. And we have actually ongoing feuds with other cities about some of this stuff. What I'm referring to right now is the battle between Mobile, Alabama, and New Orleans to convince visitors to visit the very first Mardi Gras in America. In fact, a few years ago, Mobile had a billboard placed in the New Orleans area that said, "You are 114 miles from America's original Mardi Gras." So having two Louisianians on our podcast, we have an opinion where the OG Mardi Gras is, or the OG MG. Can we say it like that? OG,
yeah,
original.
That's perfect.
And so
has got me. Louisianians? Is that what you said?
Yes, that's
Okay,
what we
carry
are.
on. I've never heard that word in my life. Keep going. I'm good.
us.
Sure.
So Wendy and I have been counting down until we could tell you all about it on today's episode of 3D TravelCast.
Welcome back to 3D TravelCast. This is Wendy Armstrong. Oh, wait. Hang on. So sorry.
I know I'm going to two different scripts.
I know. I have to go back to my other one.
That I'm transferring back and forth between the two, and it's weird.
Okay.
Oh, because y'all, I can't see.
Yeah.
all
We
the
have more
details. Okay.
info that you
I get
can't
it.
see.
Yeah. Sneaky.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Here we go. Well,
We're a little rusty, I think.
We are.
Maybe.
We need to
my
get back in the habit. It's rough.
okay. Welcome back to 3D TravelCast. I'm Wendy Armstrong, and I'm from the northern part of the state, which celebrates a little differently from the southern part of the state where Sandy's at. So we're going to talk about some of those different experiences.
And I'm Sandy Barnes, and like she said, I am southeastern Louisiana, so toe of the boot, if you can imagine geography. And we celebrate more like the traditional what people think. We don't have a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, but there's that there too.
And I'm Carol Beth Scott, and I have driven through Louisiana.
Well, did you enjoy it?
You know, it's really funny because we had some friends. So we're in Texas. We had some friends that they told us, like, don't stop in Louisiana. There's scary people live there. So I was fascinated with that. Like, what kind of scary? That didn't make me want to not get out of the car. It made me want to get out of the car. So I did get out many times. Like, I've eaten lunch there. I've driven through there. I've eaten dinner there. That's pretty much the end of my actually, I have spent the night on the way to Florida. I have spent the night in Louisiana, in a little hotel. Everybody was perfectly nice. The Louisianians were very kind to me.
That's right. You were probably on my side of the state on I-20. So
Oh, she might have.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it just depends on. Yeah, it depends on the route. If she would have headed down, she probably would have changed over around Opelousas and then come through.
no,
my
that
neck of
is
the woods,
true.
too.
That's true. That's true.
So what you're saying is the scary people are on the other side of the state, Wendy? Is that what we're...
No,
I don't know where
we're
they're
not. I know. I don't know where they're at either.
I don't know either. I want to go back in time and ask her what makes them scary, but I just,
Maybe they're
sometimes people-
overly friendly, and she has a problem with that.
That could be. You never know. She's a Floridian. So who
Oh,
knows?
okay. There you go. That
Yeah.
explains it.
It's those Floridians. Okay. Well, here we go. Clearly, I don't know what Mardi Gras is. So let's start with why do we celebrate Mardi Gras? Please.
So, Louisiana actually has a really strong Catholic background, very Christian Catholic background, because we have a lot of influences from France, a lot of influences from Spain, because frankly, they both owned us at one point in history or another. And so Mardi Gras is Fat Tuesday. It's French for Fat Tuesday. Some people in other parts of the world call it Shrove Tuesday, actually. And it is a inherently Christian celebration. It is celebrated starting around 12th night, which is Epiphany. So January 6th, give or take, all the way through until Ash Wednesday, which is the 40th day before Easter, minus Sundays. I know it's very strange. And so it moves around a little bit. It's a roving holiday. And Fat Tuesday is It's when they used to use up all the butter and the lard and the sugar and the bacon, because guess what? On Ash Wednesday, this is when we're preparing for the Lord's coming on Easter, so we can't have those anymore. So you got to use them up.
It's Lent, right? Because after
It's Lent. Yes.
Yes.
It's right before Lent. It's the big celebration right before Lent. And of course we have Lundi Gras, which is the Monday. So Lundi is Monday in French. So you have Lundi Gras, then Mardi Gras, right? And it's, like I said, Shrove Tuesday is another way. But it is a series of parades and parties and balls and Mardi Gras crews, and just it's a good time is what it is, before we have to settle back down, before we abstain from meat and things like that during Lent. So that
explains
the basic.
The size of the party. Okay, so
Exactly.
Lundi Gras, then Mardi Gras, then Ash Wednesday, right? So
That's
Lundi
right.
Gras is okay. Had no idea.
And it's somewhere around February 20th, 22nd. I don't remember the date exactly this year. I guess I probably
It's
should have looked at
the
that.
21st this year.
So it's not this coming Monday and everything. It's the next one.
Yeah, so Monday
For
the
us when we're
20th
recording.
starts that week. Yes.
And it like I said, it moves around. It does. But, and I kind of I want to mention this because I love this little tidbit, is that Mobile and New Orleans, there's a feud. If you research anything about the origins of Mardi Gras in America, you will find both of them really feud on who had the first one. And I am here to tell you, it was New Orleans. It was Louisiana. Don't let those people in Mobile, those Alabamans or whatever they are, don't let them fool you.
You don't know, do you? Like, now I'm
don't.
wondering. Alabamians. We need to
Maybe.
find out.
Alabama. I don't know. But anyway, the very first Mardi Gras was in March of 1699. And that was here. That was here in Louisiana, a little bit south of New Orleans, because there were a couple French explorers that came in and they landed near what is Mardi Gras. Hello. They landed near what is New Orleans, and they held themselves a little party when they realized, wait a minute, it's tomorrow is Ash Wednesday, so let's have our little party now. And so they had their little fete au dos, and they named the place Point du Mardi Gras. And that was the very first. It wasn't big or anything, but more French settlers kept settling in the area, and those settlements carried on their own traditions, street parade, balls, dinners, things like that. And then eventually the guy that landed here went to Mobile 3 years later. And then there was their first one.
This seems very important to you, Sandy, that you get first.
Well, it is.
It is. Ask any Louisianian.
It's
a big deal.
It's Alabamian too, by the way. I looked it up.
Oh, you looked it up.
Okay.
I don't know if it's
Well, there's
Alabamian
no
or
I.
Alabamian.
Alabamian. I don't know. There's no I in Alabama. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. That'd be like saying Texian.
Hey, I don't know what to tell you. I'm just here learning things, Sandy.
Well, good.
I don't know. I
hope you
look
learned
things
something
up.
so far.
I'm trying to contribute. I don't know.
You just
Okay,
riding along.
so it's a big party before you can't party anymore. So it's kind of like, for those of us who have not indulged, it's like how on, say, Monday, you're going to start your diet. So on Sunday, you eat your way across the house and then go out and get the food that you know you're going to miss.
100%.
That's what Mardi
Yep.
Gras is. Okay.
Yes.
It is, but more organized.
All right.
But more organized. So
And more fun.
and yeah, it's a bit
Fun.
more fun.
More fun
Did
than
you get out of
gorging
the house?
yourself.
Yep. But so eventually the French were here, Spanish took over, and the Spanish actually banned Mardi Gras activities for a very long time, and we didn't start back up until 1812 when Louisiana became a state.
Was it because
that
it
was
got
fun.
too raucous? Why were they banned? Were people being
Spanish
naughty?
didn't like it for some reason. I don't know why.
I bet people were being naughty.
But I'm sure they were, because
Yeah.
if you look anything up anywhere else about Mardi Gras, you're going to find the naughty stuff. You're not going to
Some
find
naughty,
the fun
yeah.
family stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and that's true. That's one reason why I was excited about today is because, well, I told you guys, I knew how people got beads. That was
Yeah.
the beginning, middle, and end
Yeah.
of what I knew. And so I'm excited to learn, the family origins of it. Like I would never think that you could go to New Orleans for Mardi Gras with your family. So let me ask you that question. Could you take your family, or is that a bad idea?
Absolutely. You could take your family.
I am shocked.
But you know where
idea.
to go and where not to go, though.
Exactly.
So when we talk about New Orleans, so I'm on the North Shore of there's New Orleans, Big Lake, me. And so when we go to New Orleans, a lot of times we will refer to the whole area as New Orleans, and you have these little suburb type towns. You got Metairie, you got Kenner, you even have the West Bank. And so those are where you're going to find Metairie, Kenner. You find some really fun family things. Like, for instance, in Metairie and in Kenner, they do truck parades, and these are very family oriented. You see the little kids on their homemade, you take a ladder and you put the little seat on top. There's your parade gadget. You see people, and they have wheels on them. You should see it. It's like, it's a big business here. People sell them and make them, but it is very family oriented. It's 18-wheelers that pull the trucks. Some places you will find, like, for instance, here on the North Shore, we have the Chafuncta River heading down into the Pontchartrain, and I won't keep up with these names. I hope somebody can repeat them later. But and we have a boat parade. So you have all the people who own boats in the area that want to can sign up and get a spot in it, and they come along and they'll park for a minute. They'll dock for a minute, and they'll throw some beads and things. And that is, again, very family oriented. But you're not going to take a kid down to Bourbon Street, not down in the middle of the quarter.
So that's where the adult partying goes on.
Exactly.
Is right there. The French Quarter, right?
But they do have...
That's in the French Quarter.
Yes. Yeah. And even in New Orleans proper, there are family parades. You just have to know where they're at. And they even have pet parades.
Yes. The crew of Barkus.
Pets. Yes. It's so cute. Oh my goodness. Absolutely adorable.
We do the crew of Barkus in McKinney, Texas. I didn't know that's where that came from.
Well, so this is crew, not CREW, but KREWE. So every parade has a crew, and a lot of these crews are friends and do things year round, not just during Mardi Gras. But every crew has a ball right before their parade. Well, most crews have a ball.
By ball, do you mean a dance?
Yeah, but a very fancy dance. Some of them are held in things like the Superdome or very, very lavish ballrooms in some of the fancier hotels. Have either of you been to one?
Yes. A ball?
I have not.
I have.
So goals, Wendy. You and I need to get ourselves invited to one of these balls. Do you have to be a member of the crew with a K?
You do, or invited by somebody. And this is many, many years ago, but it was the crew in Endymion that I went to, and it is in the Superdome, and they actually do bring the floats of some of the Endymion parade into the Superdome during the ball and do a little mini parade. It's very, very cool. Very cool. And it is very schmancy. So it is definitely a ball gown type atmosphere, very party, very fun, but it's still even that was fairly family friendly. It wasn't raunchy by any means like Bourbon.
Well, okay. So there's a religious background to it.
Yes.
But then the celebrations, I'm positive, have become largely secular. So
Very
I'm
much.
curious with these crews, are the crews is it cultural, or is it religious, or is it what makes something a crew?
Well, it depends on who started that crew. You have crews that are, they loved their pets, so they started the crew of Bacchus. We have the crew of Chewbacchus, actually, is a bunch of people who really love Star Wars. Yeah.
So,
now, a lot of the older crews, were probably, they were groups of people, like maybe the Masons or the Elks, or, when they have those kind of clubs that they were in and they started that.
A fraternal organization.
Yes, or I guess. And now we have ones that are like sorority type organizations. We have the crew of Muses and Iris and stuff that are all women. So it's really cool. You can probably, whatever you're interested in, you could probably find a crew for you. I did not mean to rhyme.
Okay. So it sounds like it's celebrated all across the state. So it's for you, Wendy, too. It's celebrated where you are as well.
Yes. Now,
Well,
mine is,
where you grew up.
yeah, where I grew up. Now, mine is a little bit interesting because, I am Baptist. And so when I was growing up, the northern part of the state did not, at least when I can remember it coming to the northern part of the state, wasn't until I was in junior high. Of course, middle school is what they call it these days. So, but when I was younger, I do not remember us having Mardi Gras celebrations in the northern part of the state, or at least in West Monroe and Monroe. But as I got into middle school, we started having the parades. And so now it's an every year thing. And so it's really interesting because my dad grew up in the southern part of the state, and we'll talk about that a little bit later because how they celebrate it where my dad's from is very different from the way it's celebrated around New Orleans. So every part of the state celebrates it a little bit differently. They have their own twist to Mardi Gras, and that's what makes Louisiana so awesome, is because everywhere you go in Louisiana, it's like its own culture.
It really is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's like a lot of that more southern stuff that Wendy's going to talk about. I don't have experience with that. I have friends down there where she's talking, but I have never experienced their Mardi Gras like she has. So it's really interesting how different, both from the same state, not even that many hours apart, and our experiences are absolutely completely different.
Mm-hmm. So I learned that you had parishes instead of counties from Steel Magnolias, like most people who don't grow up in Louisiana. That's like our little glimpse into 80s Louisiana. So I mean, really, it was just interesting and confusing. And then the Cajun food came from there, and I don't even start me on the fact that you people eat bugs, but that is
yum.
It's just interesting. That's all I know. So the parish is it by parish? Is that why? Do you feel like the culture is delineated by parish?
Maybe
or by
a little
region,
bit, but it's more regional. It's not
regional.
necessarily just parish or town so much. Like, for instance, I've got some family. When I'm telling you the French came and settled, we have a town called French Settlement. And their Mardi Gras is a little bit, that's closer to that Point du Mardi Gras and things like that they celebrate very, very differently. So since we're talking about parades, I do want to mention, for instance, Rex it's called the Crew of Rex, and every one of these parades have a grand marshal or a king. And for instance, Rex is the parade. It happens on Mardi Gras because a lot of these parades happen as you're leading up to Mardi Gras. Like, for instance, Endymion is not on Mardi Gras Day. Orpheus is not on Mardi Gras Day, but Rex is on Mardi Gras Day.
Rex and Endymion, Morphus and Ephesius and Phosphorus.
These are all different
so what is this?
These are all different crews. Yes. Okay. These are crews.
All right.
Which have parades. And these are the really big ones that I'm mentioning right now. I mean, some of the big ones would...
Okay. They're in different regions, or are they all in...
Okay, so
I'm a little
yes
lost,
and no.
Sandy.
And most of the ones I just mentioned are all downtown New Orleans. Now, you have things that are the Crew of Uptown, for instance. Uptown is like where the garden, the pretty trees are. If you picture New Orleans and the pretty trees and the old houses, that's Uptown.
Yes.
And there's some
crew
crews that
go through there.
Yep. Well, there's multiple.
And then,
actually.
so then the Crew of Chewbacca's, where can I find their parade? That's what They're
more uptown too. Yeah. And actually, no, I take that back. They might be. I'm trying to remember.
You had an
They
answer.
just ran the other day and I forgot where it was. There's just so many. It's hard to keep track of where they are.
So then just as someone, if I went to visit, like, do they have is there some sort of website somewhere that's devoted to
there
this?
is. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good thing because I'm overwhelmed with the...
And they all have parade maps too, so you know where the route is, and it's a good thing for visitors too because they close down a lot of roads for these things, and it's kind of hard to navigate. I remember being in New Orleans for a doctor's appointment or something, and trying to get back home, and the Crew of Tux was going on, which is just yet another one of these crews. And it's very hard to navigate the city during Mardi Gras because there are just so many streets shut down because all these parades are a different route and they start in a different place, end in a different place, all over the city, all over the suburbs like Metairie, Kenner, up here on the North Shore. Every single town has their own one. And it just depends on when they are.
And you have to remember
the links to some of these websites. Sorry, Wendy. Let's put the link to some of these websites on our page on 3dtravelcast.com. You find our episode about Mardi Gras, and we will put some links to some places because if I'm overwhelmed, I know that other people probably are as well and would like to go experience this, but we'll need some help.
Yes. And the thing is that you have to remember in Louisiana, we call this Mardi Gras season. It's not just a day for us. It is a season. So from Epiphany until Mardi Gras, it is a season. So there are parades constantly during this season.
Every weekend, there's probably a good 5 to 6 minimum just in the hour drive surrounding New Orleans proper.
Yes.
I mean, just all over the place. They tend to not be on the weekdays. You might find an odd weeknight one, but you're going to find things like Friday night, Saturday all day, Sunday, there will be parades. And it just, there is a parade schedule. I think is it NewOrleansMardiGras.com or MardiGrasNewOrleans.com or something like that. I'll find it and we will definitely link that because it is hard to keep track of. You're talking 6 to 8 weeks of dozens of parades and it's a lot. It's a lot, but
Monroe's parade is this week. They had one last weekend, but the crew of Janus, which is the biggest one, the biggest crew in Monroe, is this weekend that's coming up.
Nice.
So we do ours not on Mardi Gras because a lot of people will go down to New Orleans for actual Mardi Gras.
And I do want to mention about that Mardi Gras day one, the first recorded Mardi Gras parade was like 1837, but Rex is kind of, he's like the granddaddy of the Mardi Gras parade. Yes. His king is called the King of Mardi Gras. So it is very prestigious around here to be chosen as the King of Rex because you are the king of all of Mardi Gras. And this is, sometimes it's local TV personalities, but most of the time it's local businessmen, like very prominent businessmen, lawyers, things like that. And this parade was established in 1872. I know. But, and then on Mardi Gras Day, they have their parade route. They are very much downtown. They stop in front of City Hall and they toast the mayor. It's a big deal. It's about noon on Mardi Gras and that kicks off Mardi Gras Day. But then at that evening, the cleanup is massive and the cops literally come through on horses and cars and clean people out of the area. You have to leave. And that is the only time you'll ever see that in New Orleans. People getting kicked out of the French Quarter is right at the end of Mardi Gras Day. But it's pretty interesting. But yeah, Rex is kind of the Mardi Gras parade. If you're going to think of one main one, it would be that one. But it's not even the biggest crew, though, if you've noticed. It's Endymion is one of the biggest crews. You have Orpheus is a big crew. Zulu is really cool. Then you have Zulu is very cool. Like it's my husband has been invited many, many times to go ride in Zulu, and I don't know why he doesn't. But I think Wendy might have. Wendy, are you going to tell us more about Zulu?
No, I wasn't going to tell you more about Zulu, but I just think that it's so interesting that he has not taken anyone up on that when he gets asked.
I know. Man. So Zulu is, and it's to be in the crew, you have to be African American.
Oh,
and yes, and they wear these masks and stuff. My husband is not, but he keeps getting invited by our friends, which I love this man that keeps inviting me. It's so funny, and Dave just will not go. Zulu, and a lot of these parades, not only do they throw beads, they throw different types of things. Like Zulu throws decorated coconuts.
Sure, that sounds safe.
It's not. But that's what they do.
I will tell you, like it's crazy where we are. Like they rarely let anybody even throw candy because it might hurt someone, right?
Yeah,
so
we don't care.
We don't throw beads.
We don't care.
Interesting. And you throw those coconuts. That's hysterical. Okay,
Well,
so
I almost got, I was like hanging off a ledge at one of the boat parades one year when I was a child, because there's so many crowds and they're pushing you towards. So where the dock is, it's concrete and the boat's right there. I'm like hanging off in between the two because I was being pushed. This is how we roll. Like,
so Rex, is Rex the one, what is the one that I know about? The one that happens with the beads and the flashing and that kind of thing. Is that Rex?
Kind of all of them.
All of them?
Yes.
So I got to tell you, it's not locals doing this stuff. It's not. It's people
I'm not worried about it, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to see it. So I want to know whether or not I want to avoid it. So I'm asking you flat out, how do you avoid it? If you go...
Stay off of Bourbon Street.
Yes, stay off of Bourbon Street.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Then you can avoid
the
it.
Surroundings, Royal, stay off of, what else is down there that they might want to, the few blocks around Bourbon Street is where you avoid. People tend to not do it at parades. So on Bourbon Street and along the French Quarter, you can rent out balconies. And they grease the poles because you don't want people climbing up the balconies. About that. That's a whole deal, the greasing of the poles. But, so people will rent those balconies out. They'll get their throws and they'll stay on that balcony all day, drinking and eating and being merry. And the people below are the ones that you will
are trying to get
about
the beads from the people
trying
on
to get the beads in that sort of way.
Okay. Well, because that's the only thing that people talk about. Then it becomes the thing that, when you want to bring children, you want to know how to avoid it. But so that is really useful information for people from the outside in.
I know. It's really such a fun time. I mean, I hate that everybody thinks of Mardi Gras and they think of that, because it really is such a fun time, because you get all those throws, you get plastic cups that have the parade and crew on them. In Shreveport, in the Highland Park neighborhood, they throw moon pies, ramen noodles.
I mean, really funny stuff sometimes.
Yes, lots of funny stuff. And so it is really a fun time. And people will get out and they'll tailgate. So they're out there tailgating before the parade.
Oh, yeah.
And it is just a lot of fun to be out there on a Mardi Gras parade day. And so, I just think that it's so much fun. Obviously, if you're going to be down in the French Quarter, it's a little bit different, but there is a lot of good family fun to be had around Mardi Gras season.
Yep.
Well, that's awesome that we can let people know, because I really didn't. I didn't know until we started talking about this topic. Places. Yeah.
And again, it really... some of that stuff, the less than savory stuff, really is confined to that area around Bourbon Street. You just, there are some places on certain parade routes that might not be great for kids, but the bulk of the parades are totally fine. Wendy mentioned all the different fun throws. I mentioned the decorated coconuts. Well, Muses does shoes, like high-heeled shoes. These the people that are involved in the crew will decorate these shoes. They just, wherever they get them from, thrift stores, with glitter and rhinestones, and they all have themes, and it's the coveted throw to get when you go to the Muses parade. And then you've got ones that are purses. You name it, every parade has some type of interesting throw to get. Can you think of more, Wendy?
Those are the ones that, doubloons. Doubloons are a big one.
Doubloons.
I love doubloons. I don't know why, but I love to get doubloons when I'm at a Mardi Gras parade. And if you don't know what a doubloon is, it's a coin, and it has the crew and the parade. It's got the crew name on one side and the parade on the other. And it's just, I don't know, it's just fun to get, and I don't know.
I always love the color palette. The doubloons are fun because you get them in the Mardi Gras colors.
Yep.
Yes. And speaking of those, Rex is actually the one that we can thank for giving us the Mardi Gras colors. And if you don't know what they are, it's purple, green, and gold. And purple represents justice, green, faith, and gold, power. And so we have Rex to thank for giving us those colors. Yeah. And one of the things I want to, because I know I mentioned earlier about my dad is from Eunice. So Eunice is a very small town in South Central, almost said Florida, Louisiana. And what they do is they actually have a chicken run. So
See, I don't know anything about this stuff. That's cool.
It is very different than
Chicken run.
Yes, it's very different from the rest of the state. So you have people on horseback. They get dressed up in these costumes and they go from house to house collecting ingredients to make a big gumbo at the end. And they let out a chicken at the end and everybody goes to get the chicken. And, whoever gets the chicken, it's just very exciting. And then they cook the chicken and add it into the gumbo. And so they play this. There's a certain Mardi Gras song that gets played the whole time that they are going through the town and gathering all of these ingredients to make the gumbo. So it is just a very different type of Mardi Gras celebration. And so that's why I'm saying everybody does it a little bit differently throughout the state. And that's what I think Louisiana is just such a unique and awesome state because we have amazing culture in our state.
I'm sorry. Do you catch the chicken? So, what?
I love when Carol Beth, I wish everyone who listened only could see her face whenever she's contemplating some of these things that we're saying. It is quite amusing.
Okay. I don't.
It's what we do. We're weird.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. It's the big thing to chase the chicken. Yep.
Chase the chicken.
Exactly.
I have nothing to input of value in that conversation. Okay. I'm just trying to wrap my brain around that. It reminds me of the book. Remember the book Stone Soup?
Yes, that is exactly what I thought about when I was...
Okay.
Yes.
When you were doing that? Okay. So
when I was reading up on everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like
so we're on the
Stone
same
Soup,
page.
But we're making a big gumbo.
You're making a big gumbo. Again, another cultural reference like Tiana. And,
yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I got to get my niece. I wish she is like she does the best Lottie. Like, I'll be right back, sugar. And she's like, I don't know how, you can't tell the difference. I would love to have her come and just do that for everybody so they can hear it because it's hilarious.
Yes, she could just pop a recording of her voice in here and we'll add it to this podcast.
Oh. I won't have to do that. I wonder if she would. She probably would. She's so funny. But
that's great.
Well, a great place to go and learn and really get in depth into the history of Mardi Gras and all of the great things that we have talked about is if you go down to New Orleans and go to the Louisiana State Museum in the Cabildo building. And for all the history buffs, that is where the Louisiana Purchase was signed. So that's a big deal.
It's right there so you have the river, you got Jackson Square, you have St. Louis Cathedral, which is the oldest cathedral in North America. And then right next door to that is the Cabildo that she's talking about. Very, very cool place.
And this exhibit is amazing. Their ball gowns in there are incredible. And just so much to learn about Mardi Gras and the history and the different ways that we celebrate. So it's a great place to go if you really want to learn more.
That's right. So I think the question you are really meaning to ask, Carol Beth, is why in the world should you visit? Why should you do this?
Well, I think that
she's like, I don't know.
I want to know.
How can I tell them? I don't know. Y'all are a little crazy. I don't know that I need to get involved in that.
Y'all know I want to experience everything. So I want to figure out a way to experience it. Like I made a list of the places I will not visit in this life. There's thousands of places I won't get to visit, but it's a tiny list of places that I actually don't want to visit. And this is something I've been curious about, but like I said, I didn't want to wander into an atmosphere that made me uncomfortable. So this helps a lot.
So easily avoid it.
Sure. And just to have the fun of understanding where it came from. It helps. I did not realize that it was linked to all of the religious significance and everything that goes with that. I think one of my questions, though, that I didn't ask yet is, So for local schools, I know when something's such a big part of the local culture. So at local schools, do school children do things, and is there
Absolutely.
do you see things pop up inside of schools and celebrations and stuff like that?
Absolutely.
That's super fun.
Kids do get off for Mardi Gras here. Sometimes they only get off through Ash Wednesday, but this year our parish actually just voted to let the kids off the entire year. The entire year.
Yeah, entire week.
Nice,
wow,
kiddos.
that'd be quite something.
The entire week. They get the whole week. Yeah. But there's a whole lot of Louisianians that do like to travel other places during Mardi Gras as well, or at least just that week. So Disney World, for instance, gets very busy that week because kids are off. And so if our kids are off, we're going to travel. So head to Disney World during Mardi Gras, and you are going to just find a big family reunion.
Or to Universal, and you can do their Mardi Gras.
Yeah, that's very true. But yes, and then like for instance in schools, the kids will do things like shoebox parades. They build floats out of shoeboxes. You get a shoebox and you decorate it to look like a Mardi Gras float, and then they'll kind of pull them, and they do cutesy little things like that. It is very cute, very cute. So I've seen that a lot in schools. Other ways to celebrate are definitely by tasting king cakes. And you may or may not know what a king cake is.
King cake. I've never tried one. I know what they look like.
So do you know why they look like what they look like?
Well, I know they have the same colors as everything else Mardi Gras.
But
I've seen them in different shapes. Usually I've seen them in the round sort of shape, but I've seen them in different shapes. Is there some sort of meaning to all that?
Everything to do with a king cake is traditional and has some sort of meaning. So they are traditionally in a circle shape. And if you've never had a king cake before, I guess you can think of it, it's a sweet bread dough that is swirled with cinnamon and sugar and sometimes lots of different types of fillings, things like a cream cheese filling or fruit fillings or praline fillings. Wendy is praline or nothing. Don't fill it unless it's praline or she's just plain.
What is praline?
Oh, no.
My. Oh,
did she just say that?
Did she just say that?
Oh,
I have no idea what praline is.
I am mailing you some pralines. I'm going to have to make some.
Yes,
so
please
do. You mean pralines?
No, you did not say that.
Ma'am.
So
I'm appalled.
Are you talking about the candies that have nuts in them?
Yes.
It is. So they sell them where we are in Texas. They're sold in Mexican restaurant and they're pronounced with the traditional Spanish pronunciation. So which would be pralines.
Well, they're wrong.
A says A and I is E. So pralines. So so you're calling it, what did you call it? Pralines?
It's a praline. Praline.
And you've put that in a cake somehow?
You do. You don't make it. You don't get it to that harder stage where it hardens back up. You keep it soft, and so it's got the flavor of
brown,
praline.
sugary, and and then so I can picture that. All right, y'all are so funny.
It's serious stuff, Carol Beth. It really is.
Oh my goodness!
We take our culture and our food very seriously in Louisiana.
Yes, we do.
But what does that have to do? Oh, I'm sorry. I really did. I grew up believing that had to do with Spanish culture. So it's interesting. So where do y'all think it came from?
It came from here. It came from the Cajuns. It came from the fact that we have pecan trees
and we
everywhere.
were first.
Yes, always. No, but seriously.
Sure.
It is very much, there are very famous praline candy companies down in the quarter that you can go and get them. But
I'm sorry, I don't think that's how you say that.
Okay. They're pralines, whatever. Okay, I think we need to take a poll. We'll have our social media. We need a poll here.
Praline
do you say
or praline?
Praline or praline. Do you say wrong or right?
Yes, Wendy. Do you say New Orleans, or Nolans?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
which one?
Well, that has to be like the French Cajun thing, the Nolans kind of thing. Isn't that with an accent?
No, that's what they think we say. We say New Orleans. Mm-hmm. It's New Orleans.
But you do eat bugs.
We do. But I want to talk more about king cake because it's very cool.
Okay.
Yes.
So
yes.
king cake was traditionally made, again, like I said, we had to use up all the butter and the sugar and stuff because you can't have that during Lent, right? So we're using it up. We made it into, I guess if you've never tasted it, you can almost think like cinnamon roll, sort of. But it's definitely different. And I make mine way different. But, and they're a little, it depends on where you're getting them from. There's a lot of different ways to make them. There's some very, very traditional that some people think tend to be a little dry. A lot of them are now like a brioche style, very buttery. But the history of them is very cool because so they're a circle. You can, and there's some debate here on why it's a circle. Is it a crown or is it the circular route that the Magi took to find baby Jesus when they were trying to find him for Epiphany, because it goes back to that as well. And obviously you have the baby in the king cake that represents baby Jesus. It used to actually be a
you have
fava
the what
bean.
in the hooey? You have the baby in the king cake.
The little plastic baby in the king cake.
Pardon?
Yes. We bake bakeries don't do this anymore due to liability reasons, but we put
the one I just got did.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Yay. So originally,
I'm sorry, there's a baby in the cake?
There's a baby
plastic
in the cake.
baby. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It represents baby Jesus.
It does.
Why is he in a cake?
Well, whoever gets the piece that has baby Jesus in it has to bring the king cake to the next celebration.
Yep. You are responsible for bringing the next king cake. It was originally a fava bean before we had plastic babies. Now it's a baby. And the fava bean still did represent baby Jesus at that
The
point.
Christ child.
Yes.
Sure. Okay.
And we have king
Carry
cake
on.
everything. Like, I mean, there is king cake vodka. There is king cake coffee, king cake donuts. I mean, anything that can be king cake, it's going to be king cake during Mardi Gras season.
We have
It's like
restaurants here
pumpkin
that do
spice
king
season.
cake burgers. Have you seen the king cake burgers?
Yes.
Where they take they bake a mini king cake and that's the bun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Carol Best face. Hey, it's what we do.
I have a lot to take in.
You do. It's great. But my king cake is a brioche style from, it's kind of a takeoff of a new restaurant that has started making them. I guess they started in the 80s. I call that new. And it is a Vietnamese bakery, and it's like all rage here now. And so I have kind of a takeoff of theirs. It's a brioche style, very buttery, very soft. And yeah, you could, the normal icing on it is really pretty much just either milk or water and powdered sugar. So it's kind of more glazy, but I do more of a icing because I don't fill this one. It doesn't require filling. It's too good by itself. But yeah, so that's king cake. And we have those all the time until obviously Ash Wednesday tells us we shouldn't eat them anymore.
Okay, we're at the 45-minute mark. Do we have
we're done.
a whole lot?
We're about done.
Okay.
We're about done.
Okay, just checking in.
But other reasons you need to come and see us is obviously if you love history, New Orleans is just chock full of it. From even before the U.S. was the U.S., we have history. We have nature tours, so many swamp excursions outside of the city, but the food obviously is kind of paramount.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yep. Beignets. I've had a beignet.
Beignets, good stuff. Got to have them in Café du Monde, right off Jackson Square.
Yes. Yes.
And you're listening to the jazz, the buskers with the saxophone is right next door. It's just an experience.
Some tap dancing going on.
That's right.
Love it.
And then the guy that's painted in gold, he's the statue. You know which one I'm talking about? He is just always there. He's so cool. But anyway, so yeah, that's why you come by. That's why you come visit us.
Making me homesick.
Right.
I'm sorry, Wendy.
I bet. Well, apparently you have a baked baby to remind you of home.
That's
right.
right.
There you go.
Yeah.
So before we sign off, I want each one of us to go through. I'm going to tell you what my favorite things were as I was doing some more research. Because obviously, even being from here, I learned some stuff. I learned even more recipes for king cake. So I love that. There you go. There's mine. I tried new ones. I'm not going to lie. I've made a couple in the past couple weeks.
Well, for me, it was digging into the history of the chicken run.
Oh, yes.
My dad's part of the state. I love that.
Carol Beth, what is the most interesting thing you heard us say?
I don't even know how to rank interesting. I know that I mean, it was all very interesting, and I'm just still digesting people chasing chickens and throwing, I don't know, spam. What did they throw? Throwing things like all kinds of different, not spam.
Shoes.
What was it? Shoes. But there's some interesting foods, moon pies and
Yes.
different things like from I didn't know that. I didn't know that y'all baked a baby in a cake. I didn't know that you bake a lot of these cakes, and yet I've never tried one in my whole life.
Oh.
And so I had a moment there. I'm not going to lie. Why have I never had king cake? You people, it's a big part of my culture. You can have king cake coffee. I've never had anything. Just saying. So I've learned that what I haven't had that I want now, I guess. I want to try I already knew I wanted to try all the flavors and sounds and just to feel what it feels like to be in New
there's
Orleans.
smells
So
too, by the way. I don't think I
I'm
mentioned
sure.
the smells.
I'm sure
That's
there's
a lot of
variety.
bodies.
Not so good.
Yeah.
It's a
there's
lot of bodies
Yeah.
and a lot of drinking in some areas. And so some of the smells are very
reflect
pungent.
that. I actually knew about the greasing of the poles. That's why you didn't get a reaction for that one. So I'm sure some people will listen to this and go, greasing of the poles. I looked at, because I heard about that and I thought, what kind of stuff are they doing in New Orleans? And so I had to look it up. I was like, what are they doing? And then I found out it was just so that people couldn't climb things. So, I mean, I did already know that one. Otherwise, I would have had another moment. But it was just, definitely totally fascinating. And I love that we're going to share with people a way for them to go and plan time to do it with their family and not be afraid of the things that, that always get all the press, which
That's
is the
right.
reasons not to go. So this has been great.
All right. There's plenty of reasons to go. Absolutely. You could do it family friendly. You could do it with adults. There is so many ways to Mardi Gras.
Absolutely. From the 3D TravelCast, this is Wendy Armstrong.
Sandy Barnes.
And Carol Beth Scott.
Laissez-les bon
Laissez-les bon
rouler.
temps rouler.